Hey everybody, Kevin Purcell with the Theotek News Podcast, number 002, in our new format here on Friday mornings. That's right, we moved, and if you can't find us, you'll find us eventually. But this week, we actually are also going to be posting audio. We did last week, and you'll be able to subscribe to that in iTunes and Stitcher very soon, hopefully. We've also updated our website, theotek.com. You can find us there, and it'll be lots of fun going forward. But this morning I'm only joined by Wes Allen, and Wes is here with us. He's the pastor of, I believe it's Central Baptist Church, am I right about that?
Yes.
And also works with his area for their denomination and does some technology work with them. So good morning, Wes. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, Kevin. How are you?
Good, doing great. And normally we have Antoine Wright with us, but he can't come at the last minute. He got called into a meeting, so it's just going to be the two of us tag teaming this news and information this morning. And we wanted to get started off last week. We had talked a little bit about a thing called bad USB. About this, Wes. We didn't actually talk about it on air, did we? It was sort of afterwards.
Yes, it was.
But briefly, just tell people what is bad USB, and then we'll give a recommendation to folks.
Bad USB is a problem that's built into the actual USB spec, and it was discovered a couple months ago. And basically, what it means is the way that it's designed, that any USB device that you stick in your computer, essentially it allows your USB device to act as a keyboard and start running arbitrary code. And since the vulnerability is built into the researchers said that this is so bad that if you don't know exactly where every computer that your USB stick or another USB peripheral with memory has been connected to, you must assume that it's been compromised, that's really bad. Those research kept the findings of that secret, but then two other enterprising folks decided they were going to reverse engineer the vulnerability, and they now put the vulnerability out on GitHub so everybody can get it. So this is kind of a really bad thing, and you found something on Mashable about avoiding it. So talk to us about that, Kevin.
Yeah, I honestly, I found this and threw it in our rundown of stuff to talk about, but I haven't spent a lot of time with it. So let me just say that you should go over to Mashable and search for bad USB, and you're going to find, it talks a little bit about how to avoid it, but it sounds like maybe it's just, only insert trusted USB devices. You see that right there highlighted. Do not use or purchase pre-owned USB devices. Never leave your computer or mobile device in an unlocked or unattended. That's what Symantec recommends.
Yeah.
McAfee echoed their thing, it says here, and in the office, businesses are perhaps, you can read, I don't need to read this to you, but I just wanted to highlight it, share it with folks so that they would know, maybe some tips of what they could do. This is just common sense, isn't it? I mean, if you know that USB devices could potentially infect your computer, what would you do?
Well, most people don't know how vulnerable they are now. And I think, Kevin, the most important demographic that needs to remember this are schools. Because schools' computers in general are just minefields of goop and gob on the computers. But you have kids who are bringing projects back home and stuff, and that's sneaker net transmission of awful things. And so that's going to be rather interesting. I am suddenly extremely glad that my kids' schools use Google Docs, because there's no USB involved. It's just all over the cloud.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think maybe one of the ways to help. Oh, what's going on there? Strange things happening here on my screen.
What are you doing?
We've had some weird stuff going on. Anyway, I think that's a good point. One of the ways that we best can avoid this kind of stuff is just to using cloud syncing instead of USB syncing.
Yes.
That's a great thing. I would say one of the bad things that I'm really guilty of often is I take my computer and set it down at a local establishment that has Wi-Fi. One of my favorites, I go to Hickory, which is about 20 minutes up the road. from where I live. There's a Panera Bread and a Atlanta Bread Company here in Morganton, which is just about 5 minutes from me. There's a Chick-fil-A, and they've got free Wi-Fi, and of course, who doesn't want some good Christian chicken? Anyway, so I'll sit down there with my laptop and get a biscuit in the morning with chicken, and then I'll sit there for 2 hours and work. Just because I'm a lone wolf kind of pastor, I don't have a staff member with me in the office, and so I like to be out and among people. But anyway, all that is to say, I get up and I'll go across the room to get a refill of my drink or something like that. And the folks in there know me, and they know that I'm sitting there, and so I'll just close my laptop and I'll run to the bathroom because I know they're going to keep an eye of it because they know me, and if they see someone playing around with my laptop, they're going to say, "Hey, leave Kevin's laptop alone." But someone could just walk up real quick, stick that thing in there, open it, and I don't know, I don't know exactly how this works, but could it be that this is bad enough to get involved there? I don't know. The point is just use common sense, right?
When you walk away from the computer, that's a big thing.
What's that?
Lock your screen when you walk away from the computer. Close the lid and let it go to sleep.
Yeah, and that's what mine does automatically. I have it set where as soon as I close the lid, it goes to sleep. I mean, the minute you close it, even if I close it and then instantly open back up, it's still, I have to enter the password to get in, which, and I do that because of that. That's why I do that. So anyway, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on bad USB, but just we want people to know that it's out there, and train your staff. If you've got a church secretary and other people who use your computer at church, or ours is in the sanctuary, and we're often having people come saying, "Hey, I've got this group of pictures from the children's camp or the Vacation Bible School, or can you show some of these during the announcement loop at the beginning of the service?" And up till now, I've always said, "Sure, grab the stick, stick it in, and no big deal."
Not anymore, right?
I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore.
My big concern is this is how my wife will take photos to like Sam's to get them printed out, and she'll do it on USB stick, and we're not doing that anymore. Everything has now got to be uploaded.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what could you do? We had planned on running down some things, but you actually have a solution that you planned on talking about today. Maybe now's a good time to jump with that.
Use online syncing. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. And this comes from a completely different problem that we had. We had talked a couple podcasts back in the old format about BitTorrent Sync and how it had suddenly become rather user-friendly. And it really has. I was a little skeptical because of SSL issues that we'd had. That's the security layer, but those seem to be patched, so I was really pleased. And what we ended up doing is we are now working to keep the church laptop that runs lyrics for our worship. That's just running a real low-end MacBook Air. And then the gentleman who inputs all the lyrics, we're looking at his computer, and we're now using BitTorrent Sync, passing through my Raspberry Pi, and I'll talk to folks about that and what that is in a minute, because that's an always-on computer, and there's just a directory in there that takes the OpenLP, that's our lyric software, it's open source, our OpenLP database, and where all of our worship orders are saved, those two directories, and it just syncs them back and forth between the two computers. And so now the gentleman from my church doesn't have to come in on Friday evening to do all the lyrics. He just does it at home whenever he gets the thing, and when I wake up on Sunday morning, I put the church laptop on the network, and it automatically syncs. And things are happy.
Yeah, and this is what it looks like. I'm showing off what it, a little bit of
all
what
I see is your face right now.
What's that?
All I see is your face currently.
Oh, really? I don't have it shared properly then, huh?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
I think you have your camera off.
All right. Well, it says it's
a good picture of sunglasses, though, with you. He's presenting to everyone. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Weird. Go. Just keep going. If you're seeing it, you're seeing it. We're good.
Okay. Well, I was, and let me open it up again. This is just the interface. I literally just, as you were talking, downloaded it and installed it. I didn't have it on this computer yet because I'm really not using it right now. But you open it up here, and it's got your settings. Can you tell me what these are here? The settings: pause, syncing, enter a key, preferences.
Yeah, what essentially it keeps things in syncing. So if you think about it like a Dropbox system that you set up, but it's called peer-to-peer. So it's working from one computer that's on a network to another computer that's on a network, and it's not going out into like a big cloud server. So not Dropbox or Google or Microsoft OneDrive or anything like that. It's just literally your little stuff that you set up on your own. And so the pause syncing basically says, at this time, I'm making a lot of changes in this folder, and I don't want to be throwing stuff up through the bandwidth. Just pause the sync right now. And share key is basically the way that you share. Actually, go back to the gear icon there. Okay, that's enter a key. That's how you enter the key that's been given to you.
Okay, so like if I had a thing I wanted to share with you, I'd send you a
yeah, and I'll show you how to do it. If you just close this little window here. Okay. And then if you just put your mouse over the BT Sync there and see where it says share.
Yeah. Okay.
Click on that, and now you have this is actually pretty interesting, and they just changed the interface a little bit. I'm not sure I like this one better than the old one, but you can see the permission. You can give people read only. So if you don't want people to be able to delete things that's in this folder, but you want to share it out with them, so it's a broadcast medium, you would put read only. If you want to give them read write, you would do that. And then you have 3 ways that you can share the key, the encryption key, so that they can get in and access that folder and start sharing. You can email it to them, you can copy it and text it to them, and then they can copy and paste it in there. Or if you're using the mobile device, they can get a QR code, which is how I connect my iPad and my iPhone to stuff. There is an iOS app. I think that there is an Android app. There wasn't previously, but I do think it's out now.
Yeah, that's right. It has a link here to the...
Okay, good. And so it's really kind of neat. What is difficult, and actually I've used this in a couple different cases. When I was just working with my big annual session, I was syncing my media folder with our senior regional pastor, so we could keep things going back and forth. And it was a little less than useful because both of our computers had to be on at the same time for it to really work. That would actually be really good in like a local area thing. If you're just saying, everybody now go here and here's my handouts, that would be great. But for something where we're not always working in the same spot, that's not so helpful. And so what I ended up doing at church is I took our Raspberry Pi, and if people don't know what that is, essentially a Raspberry Pi is a $35 computer on one little board. It's about the size of, just a little bit bigger than a credit card. And it runs off, it's like, yeah, there you go, you have one in a box, look at you, take it out and show the world.
I've done nothing with this yet.
They're really neat. And you run it off of an SD card. I have the Model B. The newer model is even better, and it just looks like that. You can get an enclosure. So I basically spent like $60 to get the SD card and the enclosure and the power adapter and all that sort of stuff, and that's running underneath my desk in my house. And I basically set up BitTorrent Sync on the Raspberry Pi. It's got a directory that it shares with both the folders for OpenLP sharing through it, and the 2 computers are connected to that folder. So essentially, I rolled my own version of Dropbox, which is really kind of neat.
I haven't set this up, so just, for people who don't understand a Raspberry Pi, like you said, it's just a mini computer. Mm-hmm. What are these? Just basic. I think I paid like $30 or $35 for this.
35, yeah.
And
do you have the newer one?
Yes, I had the most. Is it B plus, I think, or something like that?
Yeah, so you're running off of a micro SD card, probably, right?
There's a micro SD card. These are just 2 adapters. I bought a pack of 2 because it was like $1 more to get 2 instead of 1. And, you put it right in here, right?
Yeah, and I have one that runs off of a standard SD card, so mine pokes out, but yours won't, which I think is cool. And then
right here, it's got an HDMI out port.
Yep.
Is that a speaker port, a mic port?
That's an audio jack for audio out.
Okay.
And you have 2 USB ports.
It looks like it's got Ethernet and 4. Are these USB 2 or
they
USB
took the composite off. Okay.
I'm sorry.
If they used to have a composite out, but they took that off and just went with the HDMI. And then they have a little micro USB port on there somewhere, and that's how they do power. So you essentially can use a cell phone charger to power this thing.
Yeah, they're
right there.
right there.
And it's really neat. And it was designed over in England. It's a totally open source board, and it was designed because they wanted kids to have a cheap computer that they could create, that they could learn how to code on. And that's schools have been using it all over the United Kingdom with that, and people have been hacking it. They've been doing all sorts of interesting things. So for a while, I was running a Minecraft server off of it for my son, which I have since migrated to something else with more memory. I'm running I basically have it set up to be my AirPrint server for all my iOS devices, which is really kind of neat. And it runs Linux, so you're going to be working with a Unix style environment. So you have all these wonderful development tools to work with, and when you're connected to a monitor and going into their UI, they have a whole bunch of things up there that are set up to help people learn how to program. They want kids to know how to actually control the tools and not just use them. They want to make, to use other language, they want them to be producers. They just don't want them to be consumers. It's a really fantastic product, and I love it. I love mine. But
what I'm showing you here, Wes, is my son goes to the STEAM Academy, which is science teachers education something or another. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, he takes computer classes over there one period a day. He leaves his high school and goes over there. He did it last semester. He's not this semester, but he's going to do it again next semester. And they had a Raspberry Pi running with the actual board was submerged in water. So I searched for it and I found this guy is setting this thing up. So, it's just like you said, everybody's hacking it, having lots of fun with it. And so it's pretty crazy what they're doing. I got it for a media server. I was just going to hook up a USB drive and put all my videos and pictures on it and run Plex to, share those videos. I've ripped most of my DVDs now. I'm not sharing them or giving them away, but no, that's fair use. That's been deemed.
You're allowed to do it. You're just not allowed to get the tools that allow you to do it.
Well, okay, whatever.
But you're allowed to have them. It's a very strange world. Yes, and I do this exact same thing. I have all my DVDs backed up because I have children.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and I just haven't had time. You know how it is when you're a busy pastor and you're also writing for other organizations and then trying to do a podcast on the side. So
yes,
anyway, yeah, I think this is cool. And so you set up the Raspberry Pi with the you set it up with BitTorrent and Sync. And so that's your server, and everybody is dumping stuff on it, and it goes to that, right?
Yeah, just the two computers, the church and the gentleman who does our lyrics. He changes it. I turn it on in the morning. It syncs up, and I'm good to go. And it works pretty good.
Is there somewhere that people can go for like a step-by-step how-to to set this up, or?
Yeah, there are a couple of how-tos. Let me get the link for you really quick. I'm going to talk out loud while I'm typing. How to use a Raspberry with BitTorrent Sync.
While you're doing that, I think there are other solutions. If people don't want to get this geeky about it, someone could just set up a Dropbox account and share with that, or SugarSync is another one that's good. Google Drive.
Google Drive you can use,
yeah. An email account, you can already do it with that. The biggest thing is what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to train your people. Now, hopefully, the folks that you've got working with your church, media team, hopefully they're already fairly technologically savvy. If they're working at a computer in your church every week, they probably are, but not always. In fact, I've got three volunteers that work with me. One of them is a great person, but he's not real technologically savvy. The other one's a little bit more, but she's still, if I said, here, we're going to put this BitTorrent Sync, and she'd be like, I don't know what that is. Well, I think she might be able to handle a Dropbox situation a little bit better.
Well, I just had him bring his laptop, and I just set it up. I'm like, here's BitTorrent Sync, just make sure that's running, and you just do your thing normally, and you don't have to worry about it. He went, okay. That was all I did with him.
Well, that's a good point. Just do it for him, and a few minutes of pain will result in a long-lasting benefit to you.
Yes, and I had the how-to up. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
So this is just how to use Raspberry Pi with BitTorrent Sync. It's a little bit different when you're doing it with the Raspberry Pi. You're going to be doing it through a web interface, very simple and neat setup. But this is the how-to, and Kevin will put that in our show notes if for people who want to check that out. There are even geekier ways to do this. You can set up something called OwnCloud, which is really a Dropbox clone. But that's a much larger project. I love how BitTorrent Sync is just really low resources. You can control how much bandwidth it's using, and once you connect, it's just done, and you walk away, and it's all good. So I'm starting to use it more and more with my ABCNJ work, sharing stuff out to people. So especially as a broadcast, and for if you're going to a conference or you're teaching a class, one of the first things you can do is have people set up BitTorrent Sync, because you don't need an account or anything, which is part of the problem with most people. You're just installing the client, and then the first thing you can do is like, okay, now I'm sharing this directory with all of you, I'm mailing it out to you, and they all get the email, and now here's where the handouts will be every week for the class. I've been looking for an easy way to do that for ages, without making people sign up for a new account, without worrying about them having their Dropbox maxed out, without making them follow links and stuff. Just to have here's the stuff, I put it in, it's automatically on your computer, and life is fine, and we'll walk away. And for them to, we just talked about USB problems, for them to submit projects back. So here's where you put your project in and drop it in this folder, and we're done. I'm actually looking forward to teaching a class now, just so I can force people to do it.
There you go. All right. Pastor, now I don't understand. Make sure it's like the young adults class or something.
Oh no, I'm usually teaching pastors, so.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. All right.
They all know when I look at them funny. They all know just to kind of like shirk away. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy myself.
There you go. Well, anything else on that BitTorrent Sync and Raspberry Pi?
Follow the how-to, and even if you don't have a Raspberry Pi or an always-on computer, I think it might be fun to play with and see what your possibilities are.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. I've got a couple of things that I found sort of interesting this week. One is, many of you might know I write for GottaBeMobile.com, and we, one of our leaders, our publisher, Xavier Lanier is his name, got to have a chance to do some hands-on with a new Lenovo Yoga tablet, and I want to go ahead and share this with you so you can see what it looks like. And I thought it would be interesting for our folks because here it is. Basically, it's an Android tablet made by Lenovo. Lenovo makes really good hardware, but if you'll notice here on the screen, it's got a projector. It's got one of these little Pico projectors, and it will send a 50-inch image onto a wall. Now, it's going to have to be somewhat dark, but the benefit of that is, for church life, you can imagine, people are always wanting to present things, or even just show videos, your youth class or something like that. Imagine having this tablet instead of maybe the latest greatest Samsung. Get the latest greatest Lenovo. It's going to be just as good a hardware, but it's going to have this projector involved in it. Now this lady on the screen now, she's showing off all their tablets, but she'll get to the one with the projector. According to our editor Xavier, he really liked it. He was pretty excited about it. Thought it was pretty good. It showed a good signal. We've got a video of him presenting it onto a curtain. Of all things, that's just that's the only thing he had handy in the place. It's that curtain right behind her, and it was it had a pretty good image. It was in a dark room, and it was on camera, so it didn't look that good. But he was fairly impressed with it. So it's a 13.3-inch Quad HD display, which is a pretty big tablet for a tablet. Most tablets you think of as being a 10-inch, an 8-inch, 7-inch, something like that. It does weigh 2.09 pounds here, it says, but it says that's twice as heavy as an iPad Air. But when I saw this, I immediately had all these thoughts about, boy, we could use this. You know, we show videos. I do presentations in my church. If you do basic graphic presentations, I bet that Pico projector would be good enough since you're not doing video. Video is a little bit darker than just a basic graphical presentation usually. And so I have a terrible time in that I try to use my iPad hooked up through AirPlay to a Apple TV hooked up to our projector in the room where I do my Wednesday night Bible study, and it's constantly disconnecting. I don't know what's going on, but 8.0.2 of iOS has terrible Wi-Fi in it, for me anyway, and I think I'm getting it on both ends. Both the Apple TV has been updated, and my iPad. And here lately, just the last couple of weeks, I haven't been able to stay connected. So I show the beginning of my presentation for my Wednesday night Bible study, and then it quits. And so I'm not going to go through all the business of reconnecting, and so I just ignore it and turn off the projector and frustratingly say, oh, well, I got to show you 2 of my 32 slides that I worked real hard on today.
I got to tell you, the Wi-Fi in iOS 8 is horrific.
Yeah, it is really terrible.
I hope 8.1 is a lot better because I'm ready to kick this thing out the window. And I really like how it's terrible. I don't know, and I think it's all because of the handoff stuff that they built into it. There's something conflicting there that they didn't catch. But anyway,
I don't know if the problem is then on my projector side, you know, with the Apple TV, but I've got
I think it's the Wi-Fi stack in iOS 8.
Well, here's why I'm saying that is I've got an Apple developer account, so therefore I've put 8.1 on that iPad, and it is not any better.
That really stinks. That does not make me feel good.
But I have not updated that Apple TV to the beta version, so I might try that.
That could all be built into the same thing. So, but are you having problems? We're totally off track. Are you having problems connecting to the internet in general with iOS 8.1 with your developer?
Yeah, no, I don't. Well, let me think here.
Because I get routinely dropped off where I'm connected, and I cannot do anything. Like I can't even see my router, even though I still have an IP address and I'm still on. I'm annoyed.
Okay. Well,
I love Apple, but
the reason this thing sort of gets me a little excited is this would alleviate some of the issues that that's causing. Isn't it sad? Couple of Mac guys here, and we're saying, hey, use an Android solution instead. This isn't out yet. It's going to come in sometime this month for $500, which that sounds expensive for an Android tablet, but the basic iPad with it doesn't have a projector.
No, that's not bad at all. And at Lenovo with their hardware, that'll be good. So let me ask you a couple of questions and see what you know. I already said I already saw it's an Android, and I actually think this would be much more appealing if. And here's me going. This would be much more appealing if it was a Windows tablet for me. Because
they're going to?
I don't know, but
they are. They are.
Oh, they really are. Okay, cool. Because I don't like the presentation software available to you on Android is garbage. Is the best way that I can put it right now. You can take stuff that's already made, but you can't create stuff on there, and I haven't found anything anywhere near the power of Keynote. But as a Windows tablet, suddenly you have a much more expansive library to use from, and I think that would be kind of interesting. But let me ask.
Paul Thurrott of the WinSupersite.com, and he's also on Windows Weekly on Twit, which is Week in Tech. He said on his blog, and I saw it on his Twitter feed, I didn't actually read the blog, it said that Lenovo does plan to offer a Windows version of this very soon. I wonder if they'll wait until Windows 10 is ready to go and do it next year.
Yeah, I would.
That's a whole year of cash that they're not going to be getting, because I agree with you. This would be awesome as a Windows tablet.
Well, it would be really interesting to see what the battery life is like between a Windows tablet and an Android tablet with this type of hardware. If it was the exact same, and
I don't know if anybody else is able to hear you, but you're breaking out on me. So
I'm sorry. I said it would be really neat to see the difference in battery life if they went Windows and the same hardware with Android and see how that balanced out. That would be kind of cool. But here's a couple questions.
15 hours of battery life.
Yeah, that's what I saw, but Windows is sometimes a little bit more processor intensive, so we'll see what goes on.
Right.
So what's the resolution of this? of this Pico projector on there? Is it running like 800 by 600? Does it do widescreen native? What's going on?
Let's see here. Well, the actual display of the tablet, like I said, it's a 13.3 inch and it's quad HD, so that makes it 2560 by 1440 IPS.
Right. But does it say? I didn't see the projector resolution.
I don't remember.
Typically, they're not high resolution.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it anywhere here in the article either. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question to ask. I don't know if
and it's probably like 15 lumens or something. Did your publisher talk about how it handles keystoning?
No, I don't think he had enough of an experience with it to be able to ask that.
Okay. Those are things I'd be interested in. I love in the video that you can use the little kickstand for the projector as a stand for the tablet. I thought that was a really cool thing.
Yeah, it looks like it's well designed. I'm sort of interested. You know, I'd love to get my hands on one of these things before I plunk down money for it. But
yep. And I've been interested in picking up a Pico projector.
An Android tablet right now. And
okay.
I sort of like to have both just so that I can work with both of them. But I just recently sold my Samsung Galaxy Note 10. So you know, I don't know. I don't know if I would fork over the money for this. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out.
Yeah, and I've been fascinated with Pico projectors for a while, just to see what they're capable of.
I had one that I did a review of about 3 years ago, something like that. That you know was like a sled for the old-fashioned style 30-pin connector iPod or iPhone, and it worked decent, but you had to be in a really dark room.
Yeah, they're only like 15 lumens. I think the maximum I've seen is like a 30.
Right.
Do you want to explain what a Pico projector is to people? Because I'm not sure everybody knows.
Yeah, Pico projectors are just tiny projectors. They're usually very, very portable. They don't run a lot of power, so that you can make them even battery powered. And they usually don't have they're LED cameras on them, and so you know that's the reason for the power consumption being very low. But that also means they're not very bright. So say you couldn't put one in a classroom that's got lots of windows and really bright lights. It would look so washed out you wouldn't be able to see it. They're mainly consumer-based devices or business, you know, for like a small boardroom where you know you can control the lighting. Or
if you have a table like at a conference.
Say that again?
I said, or if you have like a table at a conference.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
You don't have to worry about the lighting so much.
Yeah, you could get like a piece of whiteboard or something like that, and you know, put it on a stand, and you know, aim that thing up there, and if the closer you are, the brighter it is. But also that means the smaller the image.
Correct.
And so they're pretty cool. I like the idea. I just wish that my only thing has been for me. I'm using a projector to do presentations, and that's usually in a bright room. I don't want to turn off the lights.
That's what's kept me from going so far. Is the fact that they're so dim. The resolution, I think the max I've seen is 800 by 600. I started to see some widescreen native ones coming out, and like I said, I think the brightest I've seen is 30 lumens, to where my regular projector's like 2,500 or 3,000 or more. And so obviously you're not going to be doing real big stuff, but it's the future.
Let's on to you wanted to talk a little bit about something that we mentioned last week, and that was some Accordance news.
Yes.
And a little bit confusing and strange news where they came out with collections but not a new version. And explain what all that means and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we did talk about this a little bit last week. Accordance has come out with their new Accordance 11 collections, or is it what they call it, collections, or is it bundles?
Collections.
Is it collections? Okay. So essentially what they're doing is they're changing the language of how you buy stuff, and so they've shifted some stuff, and I think they've added a lot of resources into these bundles as well. But it's a little confusing for folks, and I have to admit I was kind of one of them, because Accordance 11 isn't out yet. It is imminent. We talked about how coy they are being and putting their little teasers out, which I'm having a lot of fun with the Accordance Bible Twitter account on that. I keep asking them 20 questions to try to get them to slip, and they. And so it's just been really kind of interesting. But because they're migrating from one way of selling stuff to a newer way of selling stuff, the collections don't. I'm really waving my hands around. The collections don't entirely map out one to another. There's been a lot of questions. Well, how do I upgrade? And so they've been talking a lot this last week, just the last couple of days. A lot has been put out talking about how you do a custom upgrade. So if you, and this is the thing on how to do custom upgrades. So you're not paying the full price for the updated collection. The modules you own, they transfer over automatically, and that'll be fine. And so you hit that custom upgrade button, as we see Kevin's password. No, we're not seeing your password. It's okay. You see that you do the custom upgrade button, and it will show you exactly what the price is going to be. And if you want to know exactly what's being installed, you can click on the, I forget, there's a button there that says Show Me More. You can actually, if you scroll through their blog post, you can see it. And I'll bring up a little pop-up window that shows you exactly what you're going to be charged for, because it's putting these things in to your digital library. Now, when I tested this, I guess I looked at the Essentials collection, upgrading for that, and I think my upgrade was like 200 something, which I don't have quite the money right now. Yours is 363. If you see the click here under the pay plan available. No, under the play plan available.
Oh, I'm sorry. To click on what again?
On the go to the hit custom upgrade as we go through. All right, it says click here for a full listing.
Oh, there we go.
There, click here. So now you're seeing exactly what it's going to be installing. And for me, like a lot of the upgrades are going from the 27th edition of the Nestle Elan to the NA28, which I'll eventually do anyway, and some things that I don't own right now, or I own older versions that it's a paid upgrade, so I'd get charged for that. There is still a little bit of a hiccups in the process. For example, I own the graphics DVD bundle. I got that a few years ago. I think it was like in 2009. And but in the Essentials collection, the Atlas is part of the bundle, and it was showing that I was going to get charged for the fact that the Atlas is getting installed. So I was a little confused, and I got on Accordance's chat, and they are absolutely fantastic, and was just trying to figure out all the things that are going on here. And one of the things that they said is they realize that there's hiccups with the custom upgrade, because not only are they are bridging a gap between physical media distribution and digital media distribution. Accordance for Bible software has been around forever and a day, and so you have people who have been, maybe they use the same module over the course of Accordance's history, but it's changed names so many times that they don't have them all in the listing. And so when you do a custom upgrade, it automatically goes to be reviewed by Accordance, so they can go through your library and see if really everything is they're saying you're being charged for, you need to be charged for. So that's something that they're doing, which I like that they're doing that. I think that's really.
What do you have to do to get that to happen? Is that automatic? Or do you
as soon as you do a custom upgrade, it automatically gets reviewed.
It automatically does.
Yep, they're putting that burden on themselves, and I that's one of the things I really appreciate with Accordance, is that their customer service is really about as good as I've ever seen. And so they know that there's going to be a potential for a hiccup. They're going to do whatever they can, even though I can't imagine how many of these things are going to have to review. They're going to do whatever they can to make their users get charged what actually they should be charged. And I thought that was kind of cool.
And they don't have an army of employees, so this may take a little while, do you think? Or
listen, Helen Brown is really kind of their big customer service support, and she's always in the forums answering questions. I literally think she must only get about 2 minutes of sleep a night.
Okay.
Because she's
in Israel, by the way.
What's that?
She lives in Israel, by the way.
Does she really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. When I did my first review of them, she was the person who helped me out, and she got on Skype with me to show me some stuff, because I had never used it. And there's a bit of a learning curve with Accordance. If you've never used Accordance, it takes a bit of especially if you're used to the typical Windows Explorer style from
Yeah.
like not BibleWorks, but Word Search, the old Quick Verse that used to be around, and PC Study Bible. Those all have that. You've got your list of libraries along the side, and then you've got
Yeah.
and Accordance is different than that, so it's a little confusing.
It's a little more like it now with the new interface that they have, but yeah, it's still a learning curve. She's incredible. Oh, here's Antoine. Um, I don't know how she does it, but you put something out there, a request, and she'll respond to it. And I can't imagine how many emails she responds to in a day.
Yeah, here she is answering this one.
Yeah, she's all over the place.
One.
She's really good.
Yeah.
And they encourage folks. So what they're doing with the custom upgrades, so they know that there's hiccups. They're trying to deal with it. It's fine. One of the things that I had is because it was such a big deal that these were Accordance 11 collections. I wanted to make sure that, are all my old modules automatically gonna be compatible? And they said absolutely. I said, so what do I do if I just want to buy the Accordance 11 engine? I don't want to, buy a whole new collection, because even though I'm eventually going to get a lot of these modules, I don't have the ready cash to do it right now. And they went, yep, all your modules are still compatible, which I think is confusing a lot of people. And the way that you buy it is, I think you buy the starter, which is $49
right.
for the upgraded engine. And so I put my order in for that. Right now, because Accordance 11 isn't out, when you buy the Accordance 11 upgrade, all the language in the receipt is about upgrading from Accordance 9 to Accordance 10. But don't worry, you have purchased the correct module. So that was my whole thing with that. But it's, with what they're doing, and they're bridging about 4 different worlds in order to do this. And I think they're really trying to move into a whole new realm of how they distribute stuff. So I wonder if they've put we were talking about if we wanted to be cynical about this or not, but I honestly wonder, having gotten a confirmation that there's nothing Yosemite essential in Accordance 11, I really think that they're just trying to prepare themselves for the flood of an entire switch to a new reality of distribution and purchase, and that's really what I'm thinking is going on here.
Okay, well, cool.
Hi, Antoine.
Well, Antoine Wright is with us, brother. We're glad that you've joined us, and Antoine Wright of Mobile Ministry Magazine, and our favorite is that he's the personal chef to Theotek.com and
yeah, what's he eating today?
Podcast. So what have you got fixed for us this morning, brother?
Nothing this morning. I am. I already ate my coffee and croissant. Sorry about that.
You ate your coffee?
You ate your coffee? What'd you do? You freeze it first?
All right. So Dilworth really is going to like this because I'm always pushing them. So.
Well, cool. Well, tell us what's going on with you these days, brother. We did our little song and dance at the top, so share with us what you're up to.
Well, Antoine unintentionally double booked himself for Friday morning at 9 o'clock. Very unintentionally. I serve on a committee that helps the local community college here set its direction for its curriculum. And it's really neat when you can have direct input into the education process and see change happen. One of the courses that is about to happen actually is a business intelligence, business analytics course at the community college level. So, which is really neat. We just talked about it 2 years ago, and the program is going to launch next year, which is a lot faster than what a lot of four-year schools are able to do. At the community college level, you can move a little bit faster to address educational needs. And the advisory committee that I'm on is basically a partnership between local businesses, entrepreneurs, and the community college, so that they can adapt to the changing face of the business environment and do it quickly. So it's really neat when you have good wins like that. So that's the second year in a row that we've been able to see, just the product of a couple of meetings turn into a program that's really going to have folks, address the current market, not something 10 years down the line, which is
Cool.
good.
I was about to make fun of you for joining a committee, but that actually seems valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, committees are committees, but this one doesn't take a lot of time, and it does. Like I said, this is one of those that works, so it's
Cool.
really good to be a part of.
Awesome.
Well, jumping right in, Antoine, you had put something in our rundown, and I'm actually looking for it here to remind myself of what it was that you wanted to talk about, and I didn't bring it up because I figured, well, he's not going to be able to be with us, and so so what was it that you were interested in bringing to the folks this morning?
There were two items. The first one was about open source and ministry, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually going to table that until the next Theotek. I actually found two very divergent actions happening in the body, and it's good but not good. We have one side of open source activities that is happening specifically for the local body. So there's some open source data sets, and there's some best practices being developed around what churches can do if they have the manpower to really build and manage their own database, their own content management system. There's some stuff happening down that end, and it's cool, but at the same time, it's spread all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Well,
on
that's
the other
one thing
side,
you said that you don't want to talk about, so jump on the one you do.
yeah. So I'm going to bend away from that, But and then the other thing I wanted to talk about was Evernote hacks. As our audience probably has heard us yap about Evernote probably too much, which is really interesting that we're on Google talking about Evernote. But the there's a lot that you can do in Evernote to kind of hack your environment, hack your productivity environment. I use Evernote for everything except a public blog, it seems. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about some hacks that I use using Evernote and then the service If This Then That, or If TTT. I use those two in concert with each other to basically keep my Android, Chromebook, and iOS environments in sync with each other, and at the same time allows me to collaborate with various folks and groups that I'm around on a regular basis. So that's where I was going to go. The big Evernote hack, or at least the main one, unfortunately I can't share my screen right now, or at least not easily, because I'm on my iPad on this side, and I'm on my Chromebook on this side, and I've got another iPad updating over here. It's really bad. But one of the hidden features of Evernote that is really a lot of folks miss is that with your Evernote account, you get an Evernote email address. And with that Evernote email address, you can send anything. You can send a web page, you can send a link, you can send a picture. You can send all of that immediately to your Evernote notebook. Now, if you're like me and you have several notebooks, all you have to do is actually put the @ symbol and then the name of that notebook in the subject line of that email, and it goes right into that notebook. So, for example, when I get items from that committee I was talking about earlier, those come into my email and they get forwarded right to my Evernote account so that I can access them on any device, and some of those things aren't so email necessary that they need to stay in email. It puts @ and then the committee name so that it goes right into that box for that email.
And this is an automatic workflow? So if something comes in from someone, it just goes automatically out.
It'll automatically drop itself into that notebook, yeah. So which is nice, quick, and easy.
Yeah.
Now the other side of that is I use If This Then That to not just drop stuff into Evernote. I have a handle on Twitter. A lot of times on Twitter, ARJ Wright I'll put hashtag reading on the beginning of one of my tweets because there's an article that I'm reading. Well, what I have the service If This Then That do is actually look at my timeline, and every time it sees hashtag reading, it takes that tweet and the link that's in that tweet and drops that into a separate notebook inside of Evernote.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry about clipping or web clipping or manually putting a bookmark in. I tweet it and I call it a day. And I can do that from any device that I'm on, and it drops itself right into Evernote so that when I go to my Friday links and go look at things I want to read for the weekend, it's all right there in that notebook for me. So If This Then That looks at Twitter at my Twitter handle and at hashtag reading, it really makes it nice and simple. If This Then That is actually a really powerful service. It's not just useful for Evernote. If you've got a Fitbit, if you have a Wi-Fi enabled light bulb, if you use Pocket, if you use text messaging, If This Then That can do any kind of actions that you can think of. I actually have another action inside of If This Then That that takes one of my blog postings from Medium when I blog there, and it automatically downloads it into Evernote, and then it automatically If This Then That also puts a link to that on my Google Calendar, and if it has any pictures in it, it downloads those pictures into Dropbox for me. So I have one thing that happens, I publish it, and then it goes to 3 different places, and I don't have to think about whether it was backed up or whose service is it archived in, because I have it going everywhere that I'd like to go. If This Then That works with has an Android app, it has an iOS app. The Android app is really neat because it ties into your notifications, it ties into your location, it can tie into your contacts, so you can do some really neat stuff. In that wise, for iOS, it ties into location. It actually ties into reminders as well. I have this one action that whenever I use Siri to make a reminder in iOS, it sends a notification of that reminder to my Android device.
Now this is
to piggyback on something that we were talking about earlier before you got here, Antoine. This would be a great tool for church organizations that, we were talking about automatically syncing content to show, like on a pre-service loop, something like that. I talked about the children's camp or whatever. You could set up IFTT with a tag on one of these picture sharing sites to automatically upload to a certain Dropbox, and that way it's just right there on the church's computer for next Sunday morning, and they know put everything that's in this folder on the screen, and that way you don't even have to bring the bad USB.
Yeah. Well, no, Antoine, it's a cloud service, is what you're saying?
It is a cloud service. It's a free cloud service. They're looking at coming out with a premium version of it sometime next year, early next year.
Go to ifttt.com. That's if and then 3 T's.com. You can load it on your iPhone and your iPad, your Android phone, your Android tablet, and it does some extra cool things on the different platforms. For example, on Android, every time you make a screenshot, you can have it sent to your Dropbox or your Google Plus folder or something like that. There's lots of really cool things now that it will do with the operating system to automate stuff, and so it's a great service. I use it. We have a problem in forgetting to put our trash out Thursday morning, so it sends me a text message every morning about the time that I'm leaving the house, and it reminds me, put your trash out, it's Thursday morning. So
I'm gonna have to do that for my kids. Remember your gym clothes.
There you go. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. I actually have one that because I even though I'm on an Android device, I use absolutely zero widgets. Zero. I hate them. I despise the whole home screen widget thing of Android. It's ugly. It's bad user experience. I don't care what anybody has to say about it. It's horrible.
Well, listen, I'm not a fan.
It.
Do you like live tiles? I'm gonna distract you. Do you like live tiles though?
They're okay, but I'm not happy with that either.
I'm tracking with you, but that's okay. You go ahead.
But If This Then That has a couple of really cool things. So where I have it send me the weather at 8 a.m. every morning.
Oh, no, that's
So
kind of interesting.
yeah, I mean, instead of having it as a text message, what I do is my phone comes off of its do not disturb, all the wireless shut off modes at like 7:59, and then at 8 o'clock, if this then that, sends me the weather report for the day. So I see that as a notification that comes up literally as I'm opening my phone to first look at my phone in the
Interesting.
morning.
Okay.
And I have it only coming to my Android phone. It does not come to my iOS device. So
So you can select what client it gets pushed to?
yes, I have it specifically set to do it to just to Android notifications
Oh, that's
instead of
awesome.
doing
Now,
it to.
I got two questions. One is, how are they monetizing this? And two, how on earth are they still an independent company and haven't been snatched up by Google yet?
I don't know, and I don't know.
Okay. So, I honestly, I can't. To me, this sounds like all the cool things that used to happen with Grand Central, which became Google Voice.
It's
This
largely
seems
it's
like a
just a
prime
work.
candidate to get eaten.
That's what they're monetizing. They're getting a whole bunch of angel funding and investments from people who are saying, "Hey, we want to,
We're going to be part of the buyout.
yeah, we want to get bought just like you, so we're going to give you all this money." Hey guys, we're coming up on an hour, so we're going to shut
Yeah,
this thing down here. I just want to
absolutely.
make a quick, just a quick note of our new Theotek website. It's theotek.com, and there's our ugly mugs right there. And
Yes.
you can, if you're confused about where to find us, just come on over here to theotek.com. You can go down here and listen to the latest episode. Right now, this is last Friday's. Here you can go to our podcast channel. That's our quick little commercial of what we are all about. And eventually, I'm gonna put stuff where you can find Wes, Antoine, and myself on the interweb. And then, of course, over here at the top right now, there's nothing about Bible technology, church technology, worship technology, but hopefully I'll start writing some articles and maybe the other guys can help contribute to this. But
Sure.
then, you've got links to our YouTube channel, our SoundCloud audio, and the web page that you see that shows up down here. You can go directly to it from up here, search the site. Anyway, and you can send news to contact at theotek.com, and that'll go to me if you ever want to email us or get information to us. Let me just throw up two quick things I wanted to tell people about. With Known, I think I mentioned this maybe last week or a couple weeks ago. This is one of these great curator sites where you can get all your Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that, and then you can also post to those all through one thing. And so go give this a look. Withknown.com, sign up for it, and allows you to, using one post, send out to the different things. Now, some people hate that. They say, if you're going to post on Twitter, I want it to come from your Twitter, not from your Facebook, and vice versa. You know what? I say, if you don't like that, whatever. Get over it. Just don't follow me, because that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to keep up with 3 or 4 different places. And Withknown is a good way to do that. It connects with a bunch of these different services. The second one I wanted to show off to you is called Microsoft Sway, SWAY. Now this is really cool because it's a simple way to do visual and a printed presentation of ideas and that sort of thing. Don't see it. The first person I heard talk of it said, "Oh, is that going to replace PowerPoint for Microsoft?" No, it's not. It's something different. But you see that it has these really cool.
This is their response to Prezi, isn't it?
Pardon me?
This is their response to Prezi.
Well, I don't know what I've heard of Prezi, but I've never used it, so you would know better than I. It sounds like,
Yeah.
whether it is or not. But I just heard about this. I thought it was kind of interesting. Microsoft is creating it, and it's cross-platform because it's all in a browser. I heard something interesting. Maybe this is something we can talk about last week. But the man who invented Evernote, not invented, I don't know if that's the right word. He's the CEO of Evernote. Libin is his last name. I don't remember his first name. He said he thinks that the app craze is going to go the way of the CD-ROM craze of the 90s, and that within about the next 5 years, people won't really use apps that much. They're really going to just use services that will present themselves in lots of different ways. And of course, Evernote is one of those. You know, you can download an Evernote client for your different apps, or for your different phones, or your tablets, or your computer. But you can also just use it on the internet. You can use it on your watch if you've got a smartwatch. And he says that that's what they're going to do. And so I think this might be that kind of a thing that Microsoft is, trying to get started early on with this. Or maybe they're just, like you said, maybe they're just mimicking another organization.
Well,
This
no, I think
looks
it's a
bit like
response, but I think it's interesting.
Google Plus.
Yeah. Kevin, does this run off Silverlight, or is this just straight HTML5, or what's
Straight
what's going on here?
HTML.
It's HTML5. There's no more Silverlight.
Well, I'm making sure because I know
Silverlight's
there's Netflix is still using it, so
I didn't install a thing.
I'm glad that it's just
Silverlight
HTML5.
is gone. There's no such thing as Silverlight anymore.
Good. I'm glad. It's, and I think you're right. As soon as HTML5 gets fast enough to basically act native, what's the point in having an app store? Which is going to throw a lot of people into a tailspin. It'll be fun.
Well, I hope hope it happens, to be quite honest with you. I'd rather just have my homepage with a bunch of links to really powerful apps that look exactly alike on my iPhone, my Android phone, my tablet, my computer, or maybe not exactly alike, because I don't want an app on a phone to look exactly like it does on my MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
But similar enough, and that's kind of what Evernote does. It doesn't always look the same, but it functions the same, and so that's
I think that's a great idea.
And that's what this is kind of an answer to. And so, anyway, I just wanted to share those two quick things here at the end. We had planned on doing that, but we're done. We've enjoyed talking with you. Any last words there, Antoine?
Keep me in prayer. I'm traveling to the Netherlands for a conference next week. I'll be keynoting at The Hague Telecom on Wednesday. So I'm traveling there soon, really soon. And then also, if you are interested in the mobile ministry course, go to mobileministryforum.org. That course, they're taking persons even on today. That course is $55. It lasts for 6 days. And if you or your organization really need to get into and understand the purposes of mobile technology and ministry, there is nothing else out there. Trust me, I know.
All right. Wes?
Kevin, just let me jump in. We get a request to my denomination and to my region from, I think it was the East African Baptist Fellowship, to designate this Sunday as a time of prayer for all the people who are really combating the Ebola epidemic. I know there's a lot of panic in this country on it. And my church website, centralbaptistpalmyra.org, has this fantastic prayer that was written by one of the lay folk from my church. And if folks are interested in kind of joining in a prayer for that, kind of follows the prayers of the people format. It's there. It's free for all of you guys for anybody to use, and I think we really need to keep our world in prayer, especially with this big crisis. That's my thing for today.
Cool. Well, I am of course always available at our new website, theotek.com. You can find me there, and also I write for GottaBeMobile.com. I don't have a whole lot of things to plug or promote going on right now. Just reminding of what my other brother said. Prayer is a big thing. Prayer. I'd rather you gave me a commitment to pray for me every day than $1 million, and I mean that sincerely. So, well, maybe not sincerely. I don't know. Anyway, as I think about it, but definitely $1,000. I'd rather you prayed for me every day for a year than give me $1,000. How about that? No, I'm kidding. No, seriously. That's if you really are a prayer warrior and you love to pray, put me on your list. Put us on your list. We really love it. And
we're pressing buttons.
We're pressing buttons there. This has been the Theotek podcast, and we appreciate you being with us.
Have a good day, everyone.